It's fun to do all the things that I do. I've always been happy. I've always been happy with what I have chose to do and have been doing for a lifetime. Building rifles and shooting these rifles, breaking up very accurate hand loads, using almost any bullet that comes out here and testing it on game. Just a single bullet shooting one animal doesn't prove an awful lot. But I have been there, I've done it, and I'm still doing it, and I'm going to keep doing it as long as I'm able to do this sort of thing. And one of the greatest reasons, early on, I had an interest in a bit longer range shooting, out there around maybe 500 yards to begin with. And as time went on and so forth, I designed even my own cartridges and so forth to satisfy what I wanted, what I expected for performance on game. I've never tried really to market these situations, even though I've built numerous rifles in some of these different cartridge combinations that I came up with. Long before a lot of these things ever came around. Around 40 years before any of this stuff ever came around. And I use these rifles. They're probably the rifles that I picked up most often. Ones that I've designed cartridges for. I've killed lots and lots and lots of elk out there between 500 and about almost 700 yards. And that's a fairly easy thing if you pay attention and have a very, very conditioned, acceptable day to be able to shoot that far. And it gives you some kind of satisfaction to be able to kill an animal at any animal at say 600 yards. But in this whole aspect of things, we've got things that have been thrown into the mix here, suggesting rifles, suggesting chamberings that just simply don't give you the performance for some of this extreme long range shooting. Most of these things pretty much stop out there as far as I'm concerned, that are at around 500 yards or so. Bullets, the accuracy of rifles, the conditions, and energy. Early on, I became, just incensed with the energy. I wanted to know what type of energy it took to kill these animals at long distance. But we've got off track here with some of these situations. We've had damn fools, come around and say that this combination or that combination is a good 800-yard elk rifle. We've had fools even say that, a 6.5 Creedmoor is a good an 800-yard elk rifle. It's not a 200-yard elk rifle, let alone an 800-yard elk rifle, especially the bullets that these people are using. And it just simply doesn't have the energy. We've got situations that have been videoed and whatnot, so-called killing game at, let's say, 1,200 yards or something. In instances with a 7mm that doesn't even have but 500 or 600 foot-pounds of energy at that distance.
Is it possible those videos are doctored? Goodness, no, couldn't be.
Oh, goodness, no. It couldn't be possible that they could be doctored. We know that they're doctored. We know firsthand, by people that have videoed these situations. You see? people go almost to an absolute extreme to be able to try and sell something that really know nothing about the whole game. But I know what the game is, and this is part of why I originally decided to start this video series. And this is part of why I basically was given the name the Real Gunsmith. I was given the name the Real Gunsmith over 35 years ago by an individual, an old individual here in this part of the country that I did gun work for, because he'd been someplace to somebody that didn't have the first clue about how to chamber a rifle barrel even. And this is where the name came from, and it stuck. It stuck. The Real Gunsmith. Well, yeah, I think I am the Real Gunsmith because I build rifles on almost every type of rifle action that's suitable to build a rifle around. And unlike people that have to buy a Remington clone action to build a rifle, oh no, I wouldn't work on that. I wouldn't work on that. Well, not only wouldn't they work on it because they don't even know how to work on it. But that's where I learned. I learned how to work on all these things. I learned from some of the old top hands in the business. Trinidad State Junior College was started by the late great P.O. Ackley, and my head instructor worked for P.O. Ackley for years, and he and I were pretty tight. And the other fellows that at the time that were there, many years ago, all these people are gone. And someday, all these people that have learned, such as myself and others, we're not going to be here either. And I offer something that nobody else in the business offers in my videos. I offer real, useful information, guidance for people that just really don't know, because there's a tremendously large area lacking there that people just simply do not know. And I can tell. And it really is quite amusing to get an email from some 30-year-old character that hasn't done much, but boy, he knows it all. He knows everything. I've been aware of this. I worked around some of these people. I worked one time, in a situation as a tool and die maker, and there was a fellow that wanted me to tell him how to do tool and die work because there was a position open for a tool and die maker in the outfit I was working for at the time, and it was open, and he wanted to come by and I could tell him about it so he could apply for the position as a tool and die maker. He'd never run a lathe, he'd never run a milling machine, he'd never done anything like it in his life, but he wanted to be a tool and die maker. And this is what I get. I get some emails from some of these jokers that just have absolutely no clue, but boy, they're just going to tell this old codger, how to do it. Well, most places that I worked, I didn't have to have anybody holding my hand and directing me to how to do what I did, because they soon found out in the first few days that I worked there that I didn't need any tutoring, I didn't need any help, that I was very capable and very adept at what I do, and I am very adept at what I do, and I'm very good at what I do, and I know what I'm talking about. And I've known of these things for many, many years. You develop these things over a lifetime of gun making, a lifetime of hunting game and shooting, and a lifetime of being a precision master hand loader. I have die combinations and whatnot for hundreds of cartridges to load all sorts of cartridges. I've worked on things that a lot of people never even heard of, don't even know anything about. And I'm going to continue talking about all these things, and if I see an area that needs to be covered, like this that I've covered here today, the whole big the whole big situation is here. The jury's out on all this as far as I'm concerned. It's got to prove over some time, you see. Until the evidence is really in, we're not going to know just how wonderful or maybe not so wonderful a combination that it is. But one of the things for sure is that higher velocity with good bullets and precision built rifles delivering more energy downrange is the answer. Not less energy downrange, underpowered cartridges just because somebody said something. It's where the high velocity is. Yeah, you have less barrel life, and you trade high amounts of energy downrange for less barrel life. It's just a fact of life. And you trade no energy for poor kills and wounded game. So, I know what this is about. This is what's led me on the course that I'm on and have been on for years and years. And it's not going to change with me. I learn something new every day, everything that I'm doing, because throughout the day, I may chamber a couple of rifle barrels. I may work up a load for a rifle. I may glass bed several rifles. I may work on wood stocks. It isn't the same thing every day. There's all sorts of things every day that I do in the gun making end of things that's a variation. It's not a repetitious thing because I don't have a production situation. It's a custom aspect, and it's always going to be this way. And I'm going to devote my time to putting out a rifle that shoots as well as any rifle built by anybody because of my know-how.